Welcome back to the Time Machine Talk Show, where we travel time to come back to the time and to interview the people who are living there. They are having pretty hard life, and they are suffering from many factors, and we are trying to come back to the time to interview them to for people nowadays know how difficult the people live in the past was. So in this episode, we are trying to come back to the time and guest to our journalist. She's going to the time machines and she's gonna go to a country that having kind of some war that people they are also slave there, like back in the day. Let's just move in. And I'm the journalist of the Time Machine Talk Show. And now I'm stepping into the time machine and it will transfer me into the past in 2, 1. And here I am in the past. So right now, I'm gonna interview a person I just met, like completely just met her. So, ladies, I have one question for you. Can you explain how sociological circumstances such as race, ethnicity, gender, class, etc., influence in individuals' perceptions of and reactions to the world, and was able to connect more than one sources to a topic?
During some wars, people who are slaves fight on the front lines, often as a shield for higher-ranking people of a superior race. And I was the one who was in the dog-eating dog society, and I was at the war. The way they treated me was like an animal. I was being sold and bought during the war, which we can see how significant slavery was during the war. To give an example of civil war, although the price of slaves grew, it did not keep up the inflation, causing the real price of slaves to decline during the Civil War. The prices of slaves rose and fell in part with the prospects for Confederate victory. Before the start of the war, the expansion of slavery was an important political and economical goal for slaveholders. This continued during the war. Luckily, I've survived during the war being a shield for higher-ranking people. Since it was like getting blood out of a stone, surviving during the war with lower class, I literally gave up and having ready for my death. Since I was a lower member of society, this led me to have a hope and believe that slavery is going to end and equality will be had by all. However, the truth was different, like night and day. As the war ends, the solution and ending slavery caused me to end up in a nearly identical position I was in before the war started. I've also saw some of my confidants and my family members dying during the battle. I've held some of them as they took their last breath. Everything was hopeless. The result of this war and the government proclamations that followed it have made like worse for me and my surviving family members. Even though I dearly desire that the revolution to be happen, since the economy is declimated, there is no way for me to make a living wage. And I was in the same position with no other destination. This world had taken everything from me. My family and my friends have passed away during the war, and the hope that we had of our future has been washed away. We desire to be treated in the right way. We dearly desire to end these class division and racism, and we want the revolution to be happen for the next generation. It's not only me who is thinking of this revolution to be happen. However, they are scared to speak out their voice, and they started to accept themselves as a slave. I wish my voice could reach vast majority of people and I wish by telling through this talk show, I wish we could amend our country and support others as well. When property and power are widely distributed among individuals of a given society, there will be no good reason to ignite revolution.
Wow, that was a touching speech. We see your thought, but we cannot really do anything because it will affect the timeline. So, yeah, we'll just move on. So, yeah, I just landed on a country where dead body everywhere. So I was asked this person a couple of questions, like this familiar one. So can you explain how social or logical circumstances, race, ethnicity, gender, class, etc. influence an individual's perception of and reaction to the world, and was able to connect more than one source to a topic? And also, one more question for you is, can you evaluate the strengths and the weaknesses of various kinds of political philosophy and ideologies while analyzing how they could lead to a revolution, corruption of social unrest in terms of national identity? Yeah, so for me and my family have been a farmer for a long time, even before the revolution happened. When the revolution first started, the leader promised and declared that once with success, people will get everything they want, from freedom to basic human rights, etc. Everything, like completely everything. But in reality, my family's land have been taken for Mills factory. The dead body are over the place. Since factory and industrial mills have fulfilled everything, all the land. The government is trying to hide all the bad thing happening here. That's why we have to hide under the basement for this interview. In my opinion, this country will soon collapse and being destroyed due to many reasons. Firstly, what the authority is doing now is unacceptable. We, as farmers, rather die in a revolution than on our own farm. We will rebel, that's for sure. We want fairness. We want to be treated like a normal person, like those educated people. We cannot stand those fat ass, lazy people sitting there doing some research making us suffer anymore. Furthermore, even though our revolution failed, it could definitely make our neighbor countries pay attention to us. The world is seeking out the real problem behind this peaceful country, and now our next generation won't be suffering like us anymore. Secondly, I don't want my children to have a life like me, being treated like animal, can die anytime, anywhere. I definitely know that I won't have enough money for my kids to go to school, so the society will discriminate them, looking him as a lower class person. This will affect this perspective about the world completely. My children will see themselves as a useless, dumb farmer who always try his best to working on agriculture and then give them all and to the educated people. So me as a farmer and low class person in the society will ignite a rebellion by no matter what it costs. Yeah, I can see what the farmer is really suffering right here. But yeah, let's move to the next spot. So I just landed on a spot where I see a lot of martial art warrior, and they are kind of following the traditional stuff or something. So I will just ask them the familiar question again. Can you please evaluate the strengths and the weaknesses of various kind of political philosophy and ideologies while analyzing how they could lead to a revolution, corruption, or social unrest in terms of national identity in your country?
I am a martial arts warrior who followed the traditional codes of honor that were expected of me. For hundreds of years, martial arts dedicated my life to being loyal, honest, and showing dignity to my master and the clan I've protected. However, suddenly, a reformation movement happened, and instead of following feudal traditions, a constitutional monarchy has established. We want to focus on industrialization based on success and mentoring rich foreign countries. And me and my other warriors decided to fight to the death to maintain our ideals. Even though we are wealthy and we are at the higher classes, it's difficult to fight against the governments since they absolutely couldn't accept martial arts as the new age begins. Since it's not only my eagerness of protecting the tradition, it's for my other martial arts warriors as well. Thus, if the revolution happens, the very advantage will be that I can benefit from the other country due to the industrialization and people can possess some jobs and the living standard will also can be amended. The disadvantage would be that due to the new age, the culture will be gone. And this can cause the war since I am the warrior and it's not only me who is eager to protect this.
Yeah, so after a touching interview with the martial arts warrior, so we'll move on to the next location. Yeah, and here I am. I'm in a city. It's not really a city since I think the Enlightenment philosophy have not been applied here. People are not really enlightenment here. So yeah, I just met a guy and we just interview him. So hey, can you evaluate the strength and weaknesses of various kinds of political philosophies and ideologies while analyzing how they could lead to revolution, corruption, or social unrest in terms of national identity? Yeah, and also I see people are like getting in war or something. I see a lot of like bullet and war and gun and stuff. Yeah, and yeah, I'm not. So a little bit of introducing myself. My name is Quang. I'm a farmer in the city. And a little bit more information was yesterday I saw a video on social media that the guy have an unfairness situation that he burned himself. That is a really important thing that I will talk later. But firstly, so I will say about myself first, okay? So me as a farmer who have spent many years of my life selling vegetarian stuff and think that war is so for me and my countrymen, war is something not real and it's very unacceptable. I know that our society we are living in today is not as good as other. We have to suffer from poverty, unfairness, and so on. But at least we can still live in peace. We might lack of food, education. I think that what we are having so far is okay now. The guy burned himself on the street has set this whole continent on fire. Not just only my country, but actually what he did could be a historical event too. Firstly, his action make everybody realize how putrid the government is. So, by this, the citizen can know the truth about the society. They know that everything was built up on lies, and they are blindly believing in a stupid authority system. That's the bright side of a revolution. But if we look at the dark side, oh man, the guy that burned himself was such a sinner and a war terrorist. The government are doing a shitty job, but they can still keep everything in order, in peace. Maybe the life we're having right now is fucked up, but at least we can still survive, even though it's in a hard way. Just looking at our country now, everything's gone. War, gun, bullet, dead bodies everywhere. Even for me, I'm useless, but I still want me in the army. I don't want to fight for that enlightenment ideals or anything. I just want to be a normal farmer. Yes, back to me, journalist. Yeah, I think that was really... Yeah, I feel your pain, man. Like, no one want to get in war, especially like you are a farmer. So no one want to get in war. But sadly, I cannot do anything. Yeah, and I think that's it for our talk show today. See you guys tomorrow in the next episode of Time Machine.